Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat.
Gandang umaga din, Father.
The first time I climbed a mountain, I was in college. I was very unprepared because they said that Mount Makulot in Batangas was rather a very easy climb. But I did not know what I was getting myself into when I said yes to my friends. I did not bring enough food. I did not have the proper clothes. I just had water. And that was a very big mistake. Now it took us 3 to 4 hours to reach the summit, and I finished the little food I had going up. And so on the way down, I was so hungry. I was complaining, and I was already shaking because of hunger. And when I reached the foot of the mountain, good thing, I think it was heaven sent. There was a boy there who was selling snacks, and I could not remember what I ate, but I think I ate and drank most of what he was selling. I was that hungry. You know, I learned my lesson, and every climb that I've been to since then, I came prepared. The right food, the right people, the right preparation for the journey. These are very important for a climber. And it goes the same way for all of us who are making the journey back to the Father. It is rather a very long and difficult climb to the top, but we have His Son, Jesus, our companion on this treacherous climb called life. In our first reading, we are reminded to fix our eyes on Jesus, for He knows the way, and He is the way, and He will sustain us in our journey. But even though we have a guide on the way up, what makes the climb more challenging and discouraging is the unnecessary burden we carry. You know, there are only few things you need when you make the climb. And so, we must rid ourselves of every burden and sin that clings to us so that our climb will be easier. The two daughters in our gospel today represent the unnecessary burden of sin that we carry. That is why we cannot finish the climb. The hemorrhagic woman who suffered in the hands of doctors, and the little girl who suffered in the hands of death. Sin's consequences is suffering and death. Both daughters were desperately clinging to life, and by the faith they possess, life came to them in the hands of Jesus. The hemorrhagic woman who was considered unclean was now cleansed and released from suffering. And the little girl in her deathbed was now awoken and released from the clasp of death. Both are now ready to make the journey again, the climb to the top where the Father is. They now have the right preparation thanks to the guide that cured them. They just need now the right food. When the little girl was cured, her parents were told to give her something to eat. My dear brothers and sisters, every time we are healed from the affliction of sin in confession, we need the food to sustain us, so we will not be burdened again by sin. Jesus is not only the right companion that helps us make the right preparation. He Himself is the right food for the journey. Jesus in the Eucharist. The two daughters suffered through their lifeless body and life-draining blood, while Jesus gave up His body and His blood on the cross of suffering and death, and instituted the Eucharist as a memorial of that offering, so that anyone who eats His flesh and drinks His blood will no longer die, but live. In our goal to reach the summit, my dear brothers and sisters, we need Jesus to help us make the right preparation so that we can rid ourselves of the burden of sin. We need Jesus, for He is the right guide who can show us the way to the top. And we need Jesus, for He is the right food that will sustain us in this climb. Amen.